guys, first time this happened all year. GME, again, tomorrow's news brought to you today by Tradespotting. Everyone's going to be talking about this. It's a massive deal. What is going on with GME? What is it? What is it, this thing that's happening tomorrow for the first time in the whole of 2021 that's such good news for GME? What is it? Let's dive into the charts and find out. Thank you very much, Dan. That is appreciated. Just getting this out of the way. Thank you very much. And Corey, who says, just one more like. Wouldn't that be nice if we could get just one more like? Is it you? Are you the person that gets us that one more all-important like? If so, thank you very much. Into the charts, where price action is still open. We're still in an open market. Happy days. Let's freaking go. Bing bong, the price is wrong. We've had a potential test of our rocket outcrop DMI. MACD says momentum is building, though not as strongly as we would like, and we're below the center line on the RSI on the 1 minute time frame. So that added to the fact that we are below both of our two important simple moving averages and oscillating between top and bottom Bollinger Bands and putting in a lower low on this time frame, having put in a divergent high and then gone beyond the 236. Maybe you'd look for Fibonacci levels within that most recent move. There's two you could go to. This is the most recent one. It's from the low to the high. So you drop it down here, you drop it up there. You say you went beyond the 236, you likely go to the golden pocket. You went to that and beyond. You're trying to get back into it. It's resistance. So's the 50 period moving average. So's the top Bollinger Band. Negative test. Negativity has won, and you've not won anything on the RSI or the MACD yet. And this is the leading signal. It does give us a flash just before price action dropped, and that would take prices back to 218.24. That's Rocky Outcrops DMI doing all the work for us, even right down on the 1 minute time frame, and likely talking about where prices aim to finish. Where they actually end up finishing might be held by this center line on the RSI. Not desperate momentum building yet. And we can look at more of that and do the TA and talk about those things in a minute. But there's something very important. It's happening tomorrow on GME, nearly undoubtedly. And it's the first time it's happened all year. It's absolutely freaking amazing news. And the charts say it all. I'll get to it in a moment. But before that, and if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. Put out really fantastic GME content every single day the markets are open. And I'd love to help you if you're interested in GME. So hit that like button or that subscribe button. And this is what we do. When we go through price action, we take the replay button here and go back to the start of today. That's the first candle. And here's price action on the charts from that point onwards. And we'll talk about what we expected to happen today with price action. You can see you're already here below the area where price action currently rests. So today's has been not a very volatile day in terms of opening and closing prices if we stay where we are at the minute. But we will then go through everything that happened with price action. Hopefully you'll get some lessons you add to your technical analysis. And then afterwards, I'll drop that bomb on you about how fantastic things are looking on one particular time frame and what it might mean for everybody in GME. And it's the thing that everyone's going to be talking about and acting like it's their news tomorrow. So shout out to you guys. Anyway, right, so you crossed over your 50 above your 200 on 15 minute. Sorry, that's the 1 minute we're still on. Let's go to the 15 minute. and say watch price action evolve through the night. Let's do it on the 5 minute throughout the day. Okay, push the play button. Here we go. So you've got opened with a gap on these small time frames, very positive, drop down, itself a bullish candle though. So we continue that rise to the top side. Your Bollinger Band moves up, 200 period moving average is holding you. Slowly but surely opening range, pushing up towards the top, low liquidity as you can see. At the start of a day, that's normal. People were a bit excited about price action, took it up. That's our high, 229. Body close around 225. You'll recognize that area on the charts as we've spoke about it a lot. Subsequently, you came down to this deep retrace, this 211.55. Again, support on our charts. And then you tested back up again, having like gone as far as the 886 and come back on your next candle. That was the extent of the move, having made that high. We drew the Fibonacci in earlier. You came back up to test it. As you can see, your RSI doesn't climb, but your prices do put in new highs. You've got your bearish divergence there. You have your positive cross 50 above your 200. Here comes the test. Once off the 50, 382 isn't going to hold you. Back down to the 200. You slip below it and you've got your 50% of your move has been retraced. At that point, having put in a lower high than your previous high between these two here, you could say you're likely going to go down and test your most recent low. Weren't able to break resistance, too high to get over. Let's see support, too low to get under. It's quite low here. As you can see, your RSI is recovering at the bearish control zone and taking its little head back out above it. So that was a good reaction once we arrived there. Maybe it tests it again and push up. We've tested the bottom of this Bollinger Band. It's confluent with our previous lows over here at 215. And price action back to the 1 minute chart there. And we can see we're at in and around the lows of the day. Those are, though, the starting prices of the day. So not all that much has changed. And if we can push up a bit higher, we could still finish green. The low was 211.55. The high 228.97. We only really looked at the RSI as that was evolving. So I'll go back up now. Click on the 15-minute time frame. You can see that negative trend that we were talking about. This being encroaching now on a test of that trend that was previously positive because of the extent of this negative move, which means there's question marks coming in. And is this the bottom? You wouldn't likely see that signature when prices were going to drop unless, of course, this fails this test. The RSI continues into the bearish control zone. And even then, you'd have to look at lows and compare them between lows on your oscillators. And at that point, I would expect to see some bullish divergence. You can see that the momentum has been building, i.e. people have been pushing harder to get it down, yet price action is not as low. Though if you were to consider this as a part of an uptrend, then you would look at that and say, other side of the trend, new low on the oscillator, but not yet on the price. Then you go up to the hourly time frame and you say, well, you've got the center line, it's holding, it's tested it a number of times within this formation. Itself could be said to be a descending triangle, but your momentum at that point suggests it's sort of an uptrend. Degree of liquidity at these levels. We did talk about that. Your test, significantly positive. This signature on the RSI suggestive of accumulation if you can hold the center line. The fact that you're below the golden pocket isn't all that significant when even on the hourly you're still above your 50 period and your retrace from the high to the low subsequent to the divergent high didn't get you beyond its own 886, then you could say like that's very positive. On hourly time frame, 4 hours, sorry, and then you're starting to look left at these important horizontals, 221. And then the wick high, 231. So between the body close, body close, and the top, there's a $10 range there. You expect to see similar wicks and body closes over here, and it is a liquidity zone, so we might be here for a while. When I say a while in terms of closes and opens, but in between time, anything can happen. Down here, this orange serrated line, this is max pain, where most people will lose most money if prices expire around 197 tomorrow. Take it up to the daily time frame. You've had a series of very bullish candles that all speaks to the good and continuation on your RSI. everything healthy on your MACD, positive cross, everything you'd like to see, and then that trend writ large with your DI positive winning the battle itself above 30 plus. It's up above 40, obviously, they're fantastic. Your ADX positive slope itself reaching important levels. That's very good news. This was the low we thought it would be. It was the test. We have the signature. Everything's going as we expected. And we're back testing our highs as we said we would be. Everything on that front is amazing. It's as we predicted and as I desperately hoped for. Why? Because of this amazing, amazing news. Up to the weekly time frame. This is a new high on a body close, body close on a weekly time frame. Check that out. The first time in 2021 since we started this amazing trend where we had a period of consolidation and accumulation after one high. Okay, a higher high. Then we had a low, a higher low, right? Then we had a lower high. Then we had I confirm that here again with a lower high, and then again higher low, and then a lower high, and then again higher low. And now, for the first time in the whole year, after what we already did, when people said that it had already squozzed, here we are. For the first time in this entire year, putting in a new high on a weekly candle close. Body close, body close. If we finish where we are at the minute. If we go back to max pain, it's still positive. It holds the C point on a potential harmonic that we're in. It's not how you do harmonics. But because we've only just put in a B and you can't define a D or a potential harmonic pattern until such times as C is confirmed, and that has certainly not happened. But at this point, you could say even if we did get back down there or slip below there at some point next week, if we close above $204 and change, right? $205.50 to make it clean and clear. That is the first higher high on the weekly chart of the entire year. And that is a massive fuck you to everybody who's going short on GME. It's brilliant news. I can't emphasize how fantastic it is. And when I can put it into my own TA and talk about the daily time frame here, it's very difficult to see it with all these drawings on, but this is price action. You can see that there's been a consolidation, a period of flux with lower highs and higher lows, and potentially on this daily time frame, higher highs, but never, when we go back up and look at it again on the weekly, never a higher high. We're breaking that, right? We're breaking that thing that people call a wedge, which is actually a pennant. It's breaking on a weekly time frame. Price action still above the 50 period. 200 on a daily time frame. It's touched it, it's tested it, and price action is now above the 50 again. That's a successful test of our trend. That says in huge, massive print on the front fucking page, it has not squeezed, it's going again. And that's the GME TA. It's fucking amazing news. And what else can we look at when we're here? Well, let's take this up and put it on the chart quickly and show you max pain, the open interest across our asset GME for our company, which we own the float on multiple times. You can look down here, see the volume of expiration this week. You can see how crazy, unbelievably, shatteringly bad it would be for shorts if to finish this week at $220 or above. It would be redonkulous. That may or may not happen. It doesn't need to. All it kind of needs to do in order just to win that liquidity fight is finish anywhere this side of 197.5. That's the max pain zone. As you can see here, max pain. I'm not sure if I'm back online, but I'm getting messages telling me everything's off. So I suspect you cannot hear me. And I think here or not. So I can't really answer any questions, which was the intention of this part of the stream. Says I'm reconnected. If I am, fantastic news. the next thing I'd touch on would be AMC TA. So I'll flick over there. Hopefully I'm coming back now. And you're all here. I see there is a chat box, but I don't see anybody talking in it. Perhaps you've all been kicked out as well. We got you, Jamie. Thanks very much, Nicholas. Right, I'm back. That's good to hear. Right. Here's some money to buy some internet. Thanks, Dan. That's really appreciated. I'll go to the office tomorrow. They hate me down there. I'm always complaining, you know. Give me some free internet cards. Give me some more. You know, my toddler hasn't used the internet all week. Give me some more internet. And I have to carry it all the way back. Nearly 2 whole miles on my Onio. And it only lasts for a couple of minutes. Desperate. So here I am. All my internet rations go to you guys. Dan, thanks so much. That's brilliant. I'll put it to the Porridge Tell. They do mine. I'm on their new Porridge Optic service. It's really brilliant. I get something in the region of 26 bytes an hour. It was fine before, and now it's broken up. Oh my goodness. That's what she said, right? Or something. I don't know. That's a little bit weird. Don't know if it completely works. AMC. So we're back. We're looking at the charts, and now we're talking about AMC. And thanks so much for tuning in. The reason I cover AMC is because it can make people lots of money. Do I think it's the way to defeat the hedge funds? I'm not so sure. I think maybe Citadel are long on it. But hey, that's neither my business nor anybody's in particular. No porridge until internet is bought. Oh, but I'm already so skinny. People don't know who. People think he's not professional. Why did he play that song Golden Brown? Why does he have an earring? How come he doesn't get his haircut the same way that my favorite YouTuber gets his haircut? This guy, is he even serious? So how can I stop eating my porridge? It's my daily oats. It's the only honest thing I can get around these parts. They don't, you know, it's very tempting, you know. All of us do a couple of hours in the oats factory every morning anyway. It's like Scottish obligation, as every citizen has to do their duty every day. Is Rocky a Discord a good for a newbie? Thank you. It's amazing for a newbie, Ryan. This is exactly what it's all about. It's about leveling up, and the system and the hierarchy of learning is very much on the onus of you to take the hand of the person behind you, which is why the person in front of you will never let go of yours, and it goes all the way up to the very top with Rocky and I. And the fact that we're here every single day means that we'll never ever let you go. We'll never break the chain. If you want to climb up here, we'll help you up, and then on to the next level and on again. You just have to help the person behind you. That's the only deal. And when we promise it to you and you promise it to us, you'll know you'll get that, right? It's legit. And that's the whole ethos and the whole reason it exists, right? It isn't, in fact, as some people think, a way in order to make money. That was not the objective, nor is it the reason for any business, right? Nor is it the reason for its success. It's because it serves a purpose. And that purpose you identify there is the continual learning and professional development of you as a trader in your skills and psychology around a group of people who are doing it, have the same objective, many of whom will be trading the same things in the way that you'll want to, and they'll happily tell you all about it. That's the whole deal, right? And if they don't, and you need help from somebody else, and the person who initially reaches out, you can actually oversaturate people asking for help, particular one person too much, it can get a little bit difficult for them. So spread it around, but everyone will help you here on that Discord, everywhere. It's just on the Discord, you can do it, you know, there's someone there 24 hours a day, really. And then there's loads of different community aspects, community care and taking care of people's psychology. It's a fantastic resource, 100%. To answer your question, right? So here we are on AMC, and we're on the daily time frame where you're above the center of your RSI, like the 50 plane, right? You're above 50. You're also above your own moving average, and you've got a confirmation of positive trend on Rocky Outcrops indicator there. You've got a flash on your cross on your MACD. It's not yet in a positive position. It has, though, signified the starting point of opportunity, which is very much what AMC is, an opportunity. Here you are testing the top side of this 50 on your simple period, 50 simple period moving average on your daily time frame, that being below that isn't great, right? There's obviously another thing about this trend, which itself isn't great, but does speak to positivity in that you've got, and this is how you establish a trend and mark out this concept of higher lows or lower highs. Well, how do you do that? Because for a start, anywhere you look on the chart, most charts, you're likely to find a higher bit and a lower bit. So, oh my goodness, Jamie, what are you talking about? Please explain this in a way I can get a grip of. Well, we'll just go back to, like, say, the most obvious recent section of price action, and it's here on AMC. And we can say, well, here's a high, right? It's pretty obvious that this area is a high. So we'll start there. We'll draw in a high. As you see, lots of other drawings show up. I'll explain them in a minute, but this is very much for people like yourself, Ryan, the newbies, and you're trying to figure out, well, what is technical analysis and how do I get started? You're best starting with the most simple concepts, even if they themselves seem difficult to understand. If you can get your head around the grey areas and think outside the box and grasp the nuances of just this simple concept, then everything else will get easier later. And that's the right way to approach things. And helping you and teaching you will help others who've recently learned it master the craft and get better at it themselves. So don't think that it's a charitable event. It's a good exchange and it's a positive community in Ricky's Discord. So here's another aspect of it, right? Teach a lesson, for example. How do you draw out higher highs and lower lows and establish your own understanding of the trend? So here's your high, and then where's the next low? Well, price action before it did anything going back the way, it put in this low, right? It's pretty obvious here. It didn't get any lower than that before it started going the other direction. And at this point, you'd say to yourself, well, how do you know that to define it as having turned around, right? Because, like, it was already low here, you might say, Ryan, but it was already low here, Jamie, and then it went up again. So is that not a lower low? And then here, like, the next high, and that's lower than this high? And it's like, well, you could say that, Ryan, right? You could say that. But what we use to mark out the extent of a retracement, that is how far back again against the move you've gone, is we use Fibonacci retracement tools. So you'd mark in a high here, you drop it down to this low, which is where you were at the time. Price action went back up, went beyond the 236. So at this point, I'd be inclined to agree with you, right? That perhaps here you could have said, yeah, this is a local low. Price action has gone up. Maybe this is a lower low. And I'd say, Ryan, I'm not going to argue with you. At that point, you'd say, well, then what did price action do? You could draw it Fibonacci here and say, here's your... Right, and I'd say, well, Ryan, that's all well and good. But like I said, we're looking for the grey areas, think outside the box. It's not just about every up and down, every left and right. It's more about the overall general direction. And so, well, you might be right, and you can say that that's interesting. Let's, instead of drawing this in as a lower high, right, at this point, let's mark it as a provisional point of interest and drop on instead a horizontal line, which you do with an Alt-H. And we'll say, this is an important area to pay attention to. We like big charts and we cannot lie. Shit, I've done all of this on the small chart. I'm so silly. Silly Billy Jamie. I'll quickly knock that out again, right? It can't be that hard. So, hi, Ryan, anybody else just getting started? This is a quick lesson on how to draw higher highs and higher lows. So here's your chart. It's AMC. You look at the most recent part of price action, because you could pick anywhere, but we're doing it here and we're starting now. The place we're trying to get to is you understanding the concept of how to establish a trend using price action alone. No indicator, just the price action. That is on all of its glorious nakedity. There it is, right? So here we are with our drawings back on. You draw in your high. That's obvious that this is the highest point the chart's got to. Subsequently, it went on and put in these lows right down here. It put in a low, then it put in a high up here that's lower than this high. Then it came in again, put in this low, went back against that. Then it came as that high. Then it came in and put this low, that's the low. Then it came in and put a high. You could do it like this here, right? And that's very valid, right? And then you could draw a line through it and you could say, there's your high, so we're below that. There's your low, so we're above that. Draw a line through all of these. So all your lows are below here, all your highs are above it. And you could say that this is just a representation of the trend that price action was in at that period of time. And trend is your friend until the end of the trend, right? Here's the end of the trend. And we established that in various different ways. As I was saying, when you were going through this, you know, it's not always the answer, right? That's not always the way everybody perceives every pattern or every image or every shape they see on the chart. And if you didn't quite get what I was saying there and you were thinking something else, perhaps, right, Ryan, perhaps it's you or somebody like you, you'll be saying, well, it doesn't really look like that was a low. You know, I looked at that and I saw this high and then I saw this low and that's all that I saw. And so how do you do the other stuff, right? Well, you're perfectly right to see this as a high and this is a low. And then you'd probably go on and say this is your high and it's a lower high, right? And and you'd be right. Then you could draw a line through it and you could say, there's your high, there's your low, there's your next low. It's a high or low. And you could draw a line through it and you could say over this period of price action, like previously we were just measuring from our X to our A and looking at that trend. Then when this part of price action evolved, you'd be able to draw a line through it and say, well, actually it's like this, you know, our trend is like this and it's not got that negative decline as it, right, that linear decline there. It's instead going horizontally, in which case, you know, trend isn't down. It's in fact sideways. So that's a way of identifying the trend. Another way that you would then say, well, let's go back to those two different ways of looking at it. Here's your high. How do you get a low and a high? Like if there isn't this A and it isn't that B, and what point do you use it to define it? Well, you take a Fibonacci retracement tool, you take it on your high and you go down to your low and there it is, drop it on it. How do you know that's a low? Well, price action then responded and went back above the 236 and then on, right? So at that point, it had recovered enough of the previous move to say that this area was likely a local low. But then when you go down and you're saying, well, how do I use that to compare it to other lows across indicators and so on? Well, that's another question. We're just looking at naked price action right now, defining this trend. You say, well, there's a low. So you draw it on and you say, there we are. And then you'd say price action then got up to up here. This is likely a high at this point, yeah, because it then came back down again. How much did it go back down? Well, you'd measure it against the move it just did. There's your low. There's your potential, like provisional high. Price action, it's now very messy, but you can guess what I'm saying. Then went back beyond the 236, so you can define that as a local high, and then it went on. And that way you can draw your Fibonacci's and say price action is retraced enough so that this trend has changed and is now pointing to the top side. Well, at least that aspect of it, right? Its oscillation within that trend is now to the top side. Because it's gone through the 236, we can define that as a local low. Let's see where the high comes in, then measure it provisionally with a Fibonacci until it breaks that 236, and then measure these oscillations as they go. And then when you look left and you break a horizontal, as you did here when price action came back down again, right? Then you draw a line around that. That's the tool, that's not what I wanted. What tool? This fucking tool, right? So Fibonacci tool. So it came down here and you'd say, well, right, you've drawn in your highs, you've drawn in your lows, you've got down to this one, you're like, this is the low here, right? And price action changed, then you'd say, well, I can draw a Fibonacci from our previous high all the way down to this low and say, where's the 236 there? Well, it's here at 33. So when price action went back beyond 33, you could say this overall downward trend from here had then put in a local low, right, from the whole trend, because you're measuring it from the very first high to this now most deepest low at this point. And then you're saying this whole trend, I'm measuring it with this Fibonacci. So if you go back up, then perhaps you're going to test not just the Fibonacci, like from out. So she came down here, right? You test this 236. Then you go up again. The next time you're measuring a high, it's from this next area. So the 236 you're measuring is against the previous move, right, which was an up move because you're now on the way down again. So you take it from this low, drop it into that high, and you're drawing it through these Fibonacci's, right? And you keep sticking. Like every time you break that 236, you go on. Every time you break the next one on the way up, right, here's your next low. You go up again, you break it down through this 236. Again, price action continues on down. And it goes down, it makes a lower low than it did. It goes horizontally, it goes lower than it did off the last one that you were able to define as a low because it retraced more than 0.23 Fibonacci sequence, right? So because of that, you're able to define the previous area as important horizontal, and then you can measure the trend and you can keep doing it until such times as that breaks, right? At which point that is not your friend, right? That trend that was helping you trade and informing your decisions, it's no longer your friend, i.e. it's no use to you. There's perhaps been a new trend And how do you measure that? Well, again, it's like we said, you don't just do the Fibonacci's within all the ups and down moves. You go to the start of that trend in its entirety. This one, this overall Fibonacci we drew here from the X down to that A, where price action then went back beyond that 236 of this greater dominant Fibonacci. And then you could say price action has changed. The trend has changed. And that way you're able to draw in higher lows and lower highs. And you can draw a line through that and say, well, there's all my highs here, 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 and here. So I have to be below that. Here's all my lows here, 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 and here. So I have to be above that. And you can say there is the linear progression of the trend in its most simple form. It's reductive, but it helps you understand the trend, which on top of you build lots of other technical analysis. And then you get an impression of what's going on with price action. So let's speak to that now and say, well, what is happening with that trend? A series of higher lows, a series of lower highs. That means that there is no dominant trend, that you're in a period of consolidation. The question then becomes, is this accumulation or distribution? Well, that consolidation is happening on this daily time frame up at resistance overall, i.e. closer to this high on this overall trend. When you see all of price action on the charts now, and we turn off these Bollinger Bands because they might be confusing people who are just getting started, we'll turn off the moving averages, and then we'll turn off all the drawings. And you can see this is price action. It's so very obviously up here on this logarithmic time scale, which measures the chart on a percentage move relative to itself, which is the most realistic and helpful way for using charts, not just because it does the best TA, but also because that's how you make money, right? When you're trading, it's all about the percentage move, not like the linear move and how it looks on a chart. It's about the money in your bank. And so as you can see, right, this thing is money in the bank, sat up here. Anytime anyone put money in it over any significant period of time, they're in profit. Everybody is, right? And so any activity in the shares, when prices are up here and not, generally speaking, not moving, not to any relative degree. And so they're certainly, like, if you were to start drawing them on again, right, it's all your highs are up here, all your lows are increasing. Your linear progression that you do, that reductive assessment of the trend, is quite clearly on a positive incline, right? And in which case, you say, well, this consolidation is likely accumulation. And then you start doing the technical analysis, right? So let's slap those drawings back on and see. Previously you had this pennant, the same formation I'm talking about in GME, the same idea of consolidating at resistance. It's a very positive signal. And within it, you can see you had strength on your RSI. When it came back down, you tested this low. It was at the apex of this formation. The decision was made. You broke upwards. You came back. Does that retest is a confirmation that these people were correct when it then goes up again, because previous resistance, right, becomes support at that stage. And everybody who was short has to close those shorts. Everybody's either liquidated or in some way or another add to the buying pressure. That takes then prices not just up through some previous level of support when you look left at the formation you've just come out of, but you defeat that entire formation and the whole philosophy and thesis of going the other side of the trade. And not only do you defeat them, they pay for it Harry-Kiri style by closing their own positions, adding to the buying pressure and breaking everybody else's heart who was relying on them not fucking up, in which case they did. And then every one of them in a cascading close adds to the buying pressure, price action goes up, and it does something crazy. In this sense, it does the measured move from inside of this bull flag. If you take it from its high to its low and you drag that on your breakout zone, you can see here you go, you made it into this new formation, the same area where you came back to test when you then put in this high, this being your A point on the right hand side here. This is a bearish harmonic with a slightly higher D point than your all-time high, so the upward trend continues. That's the shorter side of the TA that I'm going to go on and deliver now. But as you can see, you broke into this area, it formed the next higher low. Within here, you made a move. What was that move? You can measure that itself using those same Fibonacci's that we talked about. Here was your high on this previous move. Here was the low. Through this series of Fibonacci levels, you can measure the strength of the move. We came up here, the extension on it in itself, 1618. That's where you looked at it to be on a very bullish move. A lot of people then started closing trades, despite the fact that it was at all-time highs. It had never been here before. It was a blue sky breakout. And people say, TA doesn't work on manipulated stonks. Well, everybody used it here to make, and a lot of money, whereas their call options and with managing their own positions, in which case, X was the full extension of it beyond the 1618. But like, do you want to make 100% of every move, or would you like to make 80 to 90%, like 100% of every so often, right? Every once in a blue moon, or would you like to make 80 to 90% of every move that ever happens, right? Well, TA will get you there, but guessing at shit, it won't. And so here's your sensible decision, trade that, manage your risk. You've got everything you need there to be a good trader. And then you come in and you're putting in a similar formation, very similar to this one here, but slightly more drawn out, has the same system of lower highs, higher lows. That speaks to consolidation. Again, it's happening at resistance. It likely leads to a further test of its previous high. And if you do go on above that, what area do you go on to? Well, you can see other drawings on this chart. I'll slap back on the moving averages. This is your 50 simple period moving average. This is your 200 simple period moving average. They have a look back period defined in the title. This one's 50, that's 200. It's a simple average. Add them together, divide it by 50. It defines the current average point of this trend on the short-term time frame. That's a 50 period. On the 200, that's slightly longer in that it includes more. So it's a longer trend. And therefore, it's slower to change. It's therefore less reflexive to moves on these time frames in that its incline, its slope, and its relative position to its other moving average that we measure it against changes in a slower, slightly more rigid fashion. And so it's more reliable for long-term trends, and if your shorter-term moving average is above your longer-term moving average, that speaks to the shorter-term trend being even more bullish than the longer-term trend, which is positive and enduring accumulation. That's what you see, which answers our question, is this accumulation or distribution, which is why AMC is going up and is going to make people money. And this is lesson how to trade, and then the next bit, right, that's intermediate. Then you might then wonder, Ryan or whoever else, like how do we then get on and measure again when we go into these blue sky breakouts if these areas we're looking for aren't necessarily easy to identify once you've gone through previous levels of resistance and you don't know where it's going to finish? Well, you can scope it out with harmonic trades, and here's a harmonic trading pattern. It's bearish. I won't dwell on it, but it does suggest that price action gets to D, at which point there is a give or take in percentage about where it might end up. There'll be a question asked. That question is the risk worth the cost? And the people trading this have never been asked that question like they'll be asked at this point again. So many of the market participants got in after these moves here, right? Up at $9 and that, right? Rocky Outcrop called this thing at less than $7. Told everybody all what was going to happen, said to look for the 37, to look up again, 57, to aim for these targets, 51 is a good place to take profit, these sort of things. He said it all, and he said more about it. And there's a good example, is this now D point on this potential harmonic trade. You'd enter those trades at the D, not the C. This is not how you trade a harmonic pattern. This is for identifying future possibilities with price action. And that's why when I fired up the DeLorean and came back here to put this show on today and can put on these patterns and this type of technical analysis, opposed to other types, opposed to, for example, the suggestion that fractals would somehow help you in any way or in any way illuminate or enlighten the future of price action. It doesn't. The past doesn't repeat. It might rhyme. It might be a prologue, but this is engineering. It's a type of mathematics. It's engineering itself to a certain extent, and in a mathematical philosophy of it only even became possible when there was a separation, a divergence in the way that math was used in civilization. You have to go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before you'll find anything useful and practically applicable in the greater world of physics, which is also your world. If you're looking for any meaningful geometric derivative maths, they're completely and utterly useless when you look at the charts. And to say this shape looks like this other shape is not helpful, right? It isn't helpful. you have to understand through the progression of time that things themselves have changed. And so looking for fractals and trying to understand that type of technical analysis will lead you down lots of different blind roads that you'll only ever take because you choose not to go down these ones which so clearly do help you understand technical analysis and price action, not those which say you can't change the world, that everything happens around you and there's no effect you can have on it. But this philosophy, this discipline, in this dojo, where not only do you change your life by doing it properly, but you take that benefit and you use it properly and change other people's lives. Because people that watch this channel and people that hold GME, they do it to change the world. That does not happen with AMC, though it might make you money. And so you are obligated to use that money to change the world. And so it is even worse if you are caught holding the bag on this, which you could be, because there are a difference in the world. Not just, this chart says it, right? This chart says there is a difference between this company, which could make you shitloads of money. There is a difference between it and this company, right? A huge, staggering difference, right? Apart from the fact that this is prettier. Massive difference. And that is that the CEO of GameStop sells shares when they do share offerings, when the price of the asset is high to raise the highest value for shareholders. There's a distinct difference between that and the CEO of AMC. Furthermore, the corporate actions that lead to those share offerings can either involve shady deals that don't reach retail, that aren't done at the market, that are sold to hedge funds who intend to go short, who will depress the share price, and who will have negative intentions for the company. That's a fact. To do those instead, a corporate action just before the markets open, so that your shareholders can participate democratically in any likely dilution or reduction in the share price by contributing their own buying pressure in a free market. That is a distinctly different action taken in 100% enlightened and aware of their decisions they're making. That is what happened in GameStop. That's a huge difference. Now, I'm not saying that Adam Aaron isn't doing his job properly. I am saying that there'll be a question. It's not now, but it will be in future. Where do you put your money? Where do you put your pressure? Because you can split it between two things. But one of those things is against Citadel. The other adds to their momentum. And if you're doing both, at some point, you're going to have to make a decision, and it's existential. Do you want to keep pushing with your limited and finite ability on two pressure points, one of which might not be effective? Or when you're no longer underwater, if you ever have been on AMC and you've watched this channel, I'm sorry for it, but it is not my fault. I've given you excellent TA. You do not need to be by now. But if by this time you're no longer underwater and you've made the money you intended to make, there'll be a decision that needs to be made. And I don't need to tell you what it is or influence it, because you're either a serious adult doing this to change your life. So you'll know how important life is. You know how important obligations are. You know the people that rely on you. And if they don't, you want them to be able to. And you can do that by investing in a company that's going up. It's going up regardless of MOAS. And then you can do your own investigation. And the answer is yours to find. And I urge you to do it with every part of my heart. To do the investigation yourself with a clear mind and come to your own conclusions and answer that and act on it when you're in profit. Cheers, Luke. Fucking legend. Did I miss anything? Chris, 274, always help those in need. Good lad. Cheers, Chris. You fucking legend. Some chick, we like the big charts. Thanks, I should have got that. And then just in tiny charts on the screen, my bro, I couldn't have pulled off 30% on Ford without you and Rocky teaching us. Thanks so much. That's such a good, nice comment and generous to put in a donation with it. It's really appreciated. Beach Gopher, $10 super chat. Awesome explanation on the differences of share offerings by the CEOs. I saw the light on the share offering after one who did it PM. Exactly. Yes. Isn't that like just cutting you out? Absolutely unnecessary. And why? You know, why? Also, you know, anyway, beyond question, it seemed like there was no, it was never put to him, despite all of his public appearances and all his managed fascia. We never got to see him answer that question. I don't know why. Though there were other questions that were answered in other ways. Coco is around today. Coco! Coco's just... I would have been earlier, half an hour early, but Coco was not feeling well because she ate too much food all at once. So we went outside so that she could be sick and do her gardening, and then take care of her for a bit so she was feeling better. She's probably asleep. Ghost of Wilfric Doomslayer, like button. Also, comment after the stream. That's really appreciated if you do. Posted, please. Yeah, please do it. Also, there's funny conversations happening in the comments, and you could contribute to them. That's great. Thank you, Jamie and Rocky. Changing lives. You guys are changing the lives. Thanks for being here and doing it and choosing me and choosing Rocky. It's really appreciated. Right, so now it sounds like I'm lambasting AMC, but I'm not, right? I'm saying it's going to $82. Like, might not go at 50 though. The strategy that you have for trading it and whatnot's fine. Like, and people can say, if you say anything negative, it'll have a negative effect. And it's like, right, sound. But I can't control the market. And I care about the people I'm talking to more than I care about like somebody else's judgment of me. So I understand that you're wrong to say what I'm doing is wrong. I know you're wrong to say that. Anyone who would like, but I do appreciate the critical feedback. You know, it's just like, shut up. I've talked about the TA for ages. I talked about it myself before it was $7. I've got more of it than you. Shut up. Like, everything I've said is right about the CEO. Like, shut up, eh? Like, actually, you're suffering from cognitive dissonance. And if you are having a go at me, having heard what I've said, then the truth is that you yourself are beyond help. And, like, I consider that means that neither of us need to fucking speak to each other at all, right? So, like, fuck off is the answer, eh? Like, and that, eh? I can't get past that. I can't get. I'll also Citadel are long on it, eh? Right. So like, you want to take it up with them, and then I'll come back. And then you fix that, right? You sort that situation out. Come back to me before prices get up here, right, to $70 again. I'll apologize, right? And I'll take everything I've ever said off the internet that could ever be considered at all construed as negative. I'll take it all down, right? If you can do that. Please don't tell me setting myself on fire is bad. If I ever do it to myself, I don't want to think bad of myself. Yeah, no, it isn't bad. Though you won't have very much to think about, like, if you do it, Dan. Mostly what you'll be thinking, if it happens, is, and stuff like that. I imagine. I don't imagine it much, though. I can't say I've imagined it often. But I'll definitely not tell you it's bad, right? Maybe that's exactly what you're looking for, Dan. Great, you know, some of the most enlightened among us are. What's next, right? I think we've done the AMCT, but I don't know, right? Because I also do care about it and care about you guys, right? Now it seems like, a lot of people, but anyway, right? So also, what else could happen, right? Well, say it breaks through this D point, say it continues on, and like the truth of this isn't really about the fundamentals and the CEO. It also isn't about the fact that there happens to be a huge liquidity provider themselves. I think at Evil, and you probably agree with me even if you're long AMC, you probably yourself believe that you want to affect these people, like, and affect positive change. I mean, that's what you're trying to do, right? I assume that's my approach to you is here's how to do it. So I mean, I'm assuming that that's what you want, and then therefore I'm saying like, anyway, right? So right, yeah, they're on your side, cool at the moment, no problem. But that isn't the issue, right? It's about market dynamics, and AMC is similar to GME. The charts aren't the same, right? The charts aren't the same. The charts aren't the same. You'll never find like GME people say, you see those GME and AMC charts? They're the same. That's not going to happen, right? You will find people saying it, but it's not them. But there are similarities, right? It's you mostly, and if it isn't you directly, it's somebody just like you is in both of them, and they're just like me too. And I don't like people telling me what to do, right? And so you probably don't either, and I appreciate that, right? So and I'd be with you on it, right? Anyone else tells you what to do, tell them to fuck off, right? Obviously, but I also think like you don't have to hold Citadel's bags, like, and if they can affect the price when it gets up there, and they themselves probably aren't looking for some sort of MOAS, they likely will sell it at some sort of level that the charts say would be reasonable, in which case, if you're holding out for something unreasonable, you don't really want somebody like that on the other side of the trade. On the other hand, if it is a hedge, right, and this is true, right, if it is a hedge, and the thesis that the people who are most vocally critical of AMC, which is not me by a long distance, if you didn't realize, right, I contribute more to it than most people. What I think is a movement, and I'm not trying to fucking wax about my shit on the internet here. That's not what I'm doing. And maybe I am going on like that. That's not what I mean. Anyway, what I am trying to say, cut to the chase. It's got a tiny float compared to its overall number of shares outstanding. And so the amount of people in on it, which is a shitload, can have an incredibly high pressure effect on the price, which is why it goes up so inordinate amounts of percentage prices when it does go up compared to other stocks, especially anything in its own industry, and why it's doing so well is because of this virility in the market and in the pushing behind it. It's just that at some point, even if that is your overall perspective, it's just that one weak spot that you were pushing on, then you as yourself will have to ask like the philosophical question about what you're doing. Is it cannibalistic to your own objective? Because that maths, if you extrapolate that idea, right, the suggestion is that everybody makes this tiny float get bigger, right? And so that float's smaller on GME. Way smaller. We own way more of it, right? And I've held it through way bigger drops. So rest assured, the guy next to you in GME or the girl next to you in GME, they're not fucking going anywhere. They're not going anywhere, right? They're not going anywhere. They're talking like legitimately about selling one share when it gets to somewhere, right? Not saying, I'm going to take this and spend it like AMC, like a big thing. So I'm going to spend it on like, and they mention hard drugs and then sex workers, right? I don't find that even remotely funny, right? That conversation's not funny, right? It isn't funny. It's never been funny, right? It's literally never been funny. It's also marks you out as a fucking arsehole. It does, right? And so it also, on top of all of that, contributes to such a small dick fucking ass about face fucking those tubes that think they're all like nobody will ever fancy them people. What are they called again? Right, it all plays into that same stupid bollocks that everybody's so sick of, right? It's so boring, and that is so inane and boring. It's not, right? That's what it is, right? What do you think they're going to do? What do you think that person's going to do, right? They're going to get high off their own supply when it gets anywhere near an all-time high, aren't they? Obviously. You know what these people are like, right? You met them. I've met them, right? Are you one of them, right? In which case, it's even more obvious to you, isn't it? Right? Duh. And then also, not just that, but also, there's a history of dilution in AMC. And if you look at what GameStop did, they announced this morning in a PR release, the new debt vehicle they've got, right? It's such a fantastic way of doing business. When you acquire a new company, you bring fanfare, enthusiasm, and a rise in the underlying value of that asset just by yourself being there. That synergy, that value that you bring, that Ryan Cohen did when he bought GameStop in the way that he did too, it raised the value of the company. It did. It intrinsically became worth more because of him. And then he not only, instead of like doing like something shady and being like, well, now that I've done that, I'll just dish it off to like 7 or 8 different mates and bank that money, more money than most people will ever make running most companies in the history of humankind, in the past or in the future. He says, well, you know, this is great. That's like adds this intrinsic value to the company. We can deliver this to our shareholders by taking that increase in our value, using it to sell some of these shares we have in our own treasury, and then using that money to pay off the debt, right? To the point that they've got no debt, zero debt. Like it's like completely negligible. The only thing's like some tiny loan, which was advantage to take us at the time because it was separate from their overall debt obligations. It was a separate thing that was in France because of the fucking pandemic, and it gave them, it was a sensible decision to take it. It would have been cheap money, right? And the operating costs themselves, like, why not? There's obvious like, discounted cash flows, right? You take it now, it's worth less in the future. Take it now, it's cheaper, right? Than right? Anyway, I'm not explaining that concept, but so they did that, right? They managed to pay off all that debt. Not going to draw comparisons here. I'm just going to say that's a really positive thing that happened there. And then next, there was the nature of that share offering that they did, you know, allowing everybody to be involved in it democratically. And then subsequent to all of that, paying off the debt, they repositioned the company. They used some of that money, which they've now got a hugely massive positive bank balance, right? But that's just their money, right? Our money, because it's our company, and they're going to use it to increase our value of our shares, and they've not spent it yet, right? So it's there waiting to be deployed to your benefit, right? So don't sell your shares. That'd be stupid, right? That's a stupid idea, because those shares, sure, people say it's baked in, but those same people, they don't fund or consistently underestimated this company. It'd be stupid to take their word for it. It's your word that matters. And what do you believe, right? You know, he's obviously going to make every dollar he's got worth $1 something. That's what's going to happen from now until forever, probably. And that's why he's a good person to be in charge. Not just that, but because he lets us all participate in that value, which is what a good shareholder, like CEO, does for the shareholders. Because then it attracts more shareholders. And that's doing things like that. That gets you onto the S&P 500, right? That gets you to be one of the biggest companies in the world. That gets so much trust from those people who invest in you. That's what it's about, because they ultimately, at that level, they do invest in you. And so whether you like it or not, and whether you accept that I'm not comparing CEOs or not, there is a question to be asked of any company you invest in. It's not just the market participants. It's not just that company's stakeholders and every possible version and implication thereof. It's also the people that run the company, that work there, and above all, the CEO. That's it. Or the chairman, sorry, Ryan Cohen being the chairman of the board. He's appointed his own CEO himself with experience of fulfillment in running Amazon. So, like, that's even better, right? And pardon me for misspeaking earlier, which was a bit of a faux pas and will confuse people. So I want to take that and be explicit about that. Ryan Cohen's the chairman, not the CEO. We have a fantastic CEO in Matt who come from Amazon and is doing that repositioning of the company. And that gets me back to that point, right? So they pay off their debt. We haven't done a equitable at the market share offering that raised enough money to put the Ryan Cohen's synergy and implicit value that he brought to the company, giving it back to shareholders, and value of the company increases. They've got all that money in the bank. And rather than spend their own money, which they could do and they will do, which is, you know, a significant amount. Oh, there's a big donation. Thanks so much. I'll get to that in a second. What they instead went and did was they noticed that the world is suffering from terrible inflation at the minute. And what that means is that money that you take now will be worth less in future, right? It'll be therefore easier to pay it back. And that likely, if you were to borrow it now, you'll be able to borrow it at a better rate than you would if you did borrow it in future, because those rates will likely go up, increase as a result of that increased inflation. That's the way and the reason for mechanism to increase inflation rates. And the way that they'll do that in America and the way they do it where I am are slightly different, but it's for the same purposes and it has the same effect. And that manipulation of the money supply will change the value of it. And so you want to borrow it now so that it's cheaper in future, even more cheaper if you borrow it before the rate increase. That's what GME did. They were able to pay off their debt and then get debt again. And even the top level, right, where the amount of money they can expect, it's gone up, like, I don't know, what is it, 20% or something. The debt vehicle they've got now is infinitely better than the one they had before. It's for growth, right? It's for growth. So now GME never need to do share offerings in order to raise money. They don't need to, because they've taken a loan, which they're going to pay back through generating capital from viable business, which they will ensure through having repositioned the company and getting new revenue streams, have also improved the efficiency of the underlying operations, and they've got so much money on hand. And that's not because some crazy thing happened. It was just because the CEO took some options that were open to all CEOs at all times, if they themselves are the right person to be running that business and can bring experience that will attract interest, which will then raise the value of that company, which makes it an ethical proposition. There are some CEOs who bring value in and of themselves to the company, and there are others who don't have real value, who only string you along with your imagination, who take your hopes and your dreams and tell you they're going to happen using logic that applies to other situations, and they'll sell you and they'll sell you down the river. And so you have to think about that, right? In context of somebody who tells you that AMC is likely going to double in price, probably go beyond its all-time high, and then be in blue sky breakout areas, you have to consider those things. Even it reaches 97, 137 and so on, you have to think about that. And then if you say, yeah, but sure, that's only the equivalent of GME going to, right, whatever, right, that equivalent for GME is not anything like the top side. People aren't thinking at that point, oh, I'll be able to pay my mortgage. People could have paid their mortgage 10 times off with GME back in January. It isn't about that. Never mind, right? Never mind. But far be it from me fucking speak to meta problems in society and that, right? You know, whatever. What do I know? So that's that. What was that? I missed that. It was a donation as well. What was it? Michael John Stott. Hey, Jamie. Gamestop will launch their NFT platform on Loopring in the next month. Rock on, dude, and feck the bankers and hedge funds. Thanks. You're freaking welcome, Michael John Scott. You freaking legend, you. Yeah, isn't that nice with the new NFT news coming along? That being like realistic and like with a true business purpose too. Whoa, we love to see that around here, right? Not just hype, but also real shit. That's awesome. I can't wait till that stuff goes through. It's super obvious that that's happening. I'm not a big fan of we've got a code leak. You know, there's no leak of code, right? That would be hugely incompetent and like a big reason not to go anywhere near a cryptocurrency if their code leaked. But I understand what happened really, and I can see the positivity there. As you'll know, news means nothing, right? News means nothing. The charts are everything. You'll get that news ahead of time on the charts, and Loopring's exactly the same thing. LRC Loopring. Here's your daily time frame, right? We talked about this, and if you're just turning in for the first time and you're in Loopring and you think, well, I bought it and it's a buy and it's a hold and it's a never let go, well, I'm here to tell you you're wrong, right? And that also help you get better at this shit. It's all well and good calling something's going up, right? But like, it's even better when you can call it happening on the day. Even better still if you can talk about the point at which you will need to make serious decisions for your account. Better still if you can identify not only the place to buy, the time to buy, but subsequently where it's going, where to potentially manage your position, where you might want to get out, and there where you could then subsequently get in again. That's like next level shit, right? It seriously is. And that's what you got with Loopring here when we did this TA on it, and we talked about your entries, we talked about how it would look, and we discussed this sort of price action and what it meant. We talked about when price action was back up here, the likely retrace. We talked about areas, the distance it would likely go when it got there, where the target would be, and this obvious thing here. You know, you could look at it and call it a cup and handle. You can call it all different formations. The psychology behind it's important. You had your positive cross. You had your test of that daily time frame, golden cross. First positive one you've seen when price action has been putting in a change of trend, right? You know, we talked about how to identify trend with higher lows, lower lows. At this point, that trend had changed. You were coming up testing these previous horizontals, the start of this downtrend. At that point, you came back, tested the positive cross, the first time you'd had it since price action, been doing that, and then up again into these new levels. The 1618 retracement was a great place to take profit. It was also a good place to drop a stop subsequent. You could have also done, as I advise people, you know, you take it from your low, you drop in your high. This price action can keep going, in which case you can keep drawing this fib, you can keep moving it, right? It's magic like that. You can just keep going wherever your price action. Anyway, you can just drop it on there. That's where it got to at that point, and price started moving back. And then you say, well, maybe the 236 is a good area to manage risk from. Like if it drops below that, maybe it retraces all the way back down to test this trend. That trend that hasn't really been checked, right, or tested since this cross and this extreme move. So that would suggest continuation if it only got to the 0.5 and went on in around 72, 73. But other things to look out for on Loopring in that this test of that positive cross, perhaps it comes in. If you've broke this 236, maybe you do go to the 618. That would be back within this previous range. You know, and do you want to have taken this thing like all the way from 0.1 something all the way up to 1.7 and then watched it get all the way back to 0.4 and say, wow, I held, because it's not changing anything, literally not changing anything, right? It doesn't make any difference to the people that own it. They themselves likely, you know, leaked the GameStop news, you know, and sold some themselves, whatever, to build this, like, and do what, I don't know, right? I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I like Loopring. I think it is a fucking excellent thing. It's just that, do they have stock operators operating correctly on their behalf? Because they'll have done it in order to raise capital to make it an even better business, right? It's a very different operation, this thing, right? It's very different. They've got huge ambitions, and the way they're going about it are very smart. Huge props to them. I like it, right? I also bought lots of it, but I also sold loads of it, and then follow it with a stop. And so where do you re-enter? Well, you've got all these positive places to test that you went through before that were interesting. I mean, this is a target, so we're talking about entering it down here. This retrace down here was a great place to take profit when it tested these highs again. This was obvious re-entry when it recovered above the 200, and you'd had a positive cross on the two moving averages, and then the price action going up when it broke this horizontal was very obvious at that stage, and then going to the 1618 extension itself, very obvious. So how do you manage it? Well, you could put your stop where the 236 is. You can follow up to the 382. I myself had it at different areas and took profit earlier when different places stopped. I had three various places. I had three stops. Two of them are still, what, one or two of them, I can't remember. I haven't actually looked at it today, are still in. And so, like, that's how you manage a position without having to pay too much attention to the chart, like I haven't done, over time. And you can just, like, quickly go back, check it, maybe move your stop a little bit. You know, if price action hasn't broken a previous, like, above anything important, then don't move your stop, you know, and analyze it and that. And we're on the daily time frame here, and you can see a retrace happening. So we're on loop bring. We'll drop down to the 4 hour, and you can see here's this rolling over effect on price action. You've also slipped out of the bullish control zone and below your own moving average on the RSI. You're coming up for a test on the DI plus and DI minus, and then you've got a negative crossing the MACD and momentum building to the downside, though price action not breaking important horizontals, including that 236 right now. So that's interesting and positive, yet also dodgy. 1 hour time frame here, actually. Just quickly go back to that 4 hour there. Daily. 1 hour. This has already been filled. So then you're down, say, well, in the 4 hour, you look at those moving averages. The 200 reaches up here to 0.82, and then when you're on the 4 hour, the 50 period's at 8.2 as well. So there's an area there where price action is very, you know, it's an easy place to get to and bounce from. And there's also a horizontal here at 0.93 that's very interesting and easy area to bounce from. When you're on the 4 hour, you can't quite see, but on the 1 hour here, it looks like you're in this sort of a wedge. It's unusual to get this at the top of a very bullish price action, so it is more likely a channel, yeah. At which point you'll see how it performs. If you test the top side of it, you'd also be testing this 50 period on the first significant time frame. The hourly wouldn't be quite at your previous horizontal, so it would be a continuation of this lower highs and lower lows. This is the next significant horizontal here in this zone. You've already touched the top of this candle here, this body close, body close. Do you come in to get the wick close of it and then go up again? And that comes in around 0.9321, which is why I've got it with a line horizontally. Here on the 4 hour, you can see it is very interesting there. It's below the 236. It would wash a number of people out. It would take another one of my stops. But I'd be happy with that, because if it got to here and it looked like it was putting in an entry signal from a bullish engulfing or whatever, some sort of abandoned baby, or, you know, could be a pattern, right? Whatever, a number of candlesticks, whatever it does, if it then breaks above its previous horizontal here, having put in a buy signal, then you would just take that trade, right? Why would you want to hold it when it was higher and then it's less, right? You would just sell it there and buy it there. And if you don't get it when it comes back here, it doesn't come back here and it goes up anyway, you might still have some of it left, right? That would be the way to manage it, and move it with stops and whatnot. Like, that's how you get rich, by letting it run when you've got it, but taking profit when it's sensible, because you can keep re-entering. It's not about, like, you can see how wanting to get rich is great, but the way to do it is to work at it rather than think like, well, I want it so much that it surely has to happen, and then chuck money at things and then just hold on against, like, what charts constantly do, right? Which is go up and down all the time, forever and ever. And there's never been one that hasn't. And there never ever will be, because people trade it. Like, so, you know, why would, you know, right? Same goes for trades that are underwater and you're like, try to hold on to them and that, right? That drops 10%. If you're already underwater, why do you want to be more 10% underwater, right? Take that loss there and put it back in there. And at least, right, you're, you know, not saying price action goes there. This is horizontal, right? It's a line here. It's a good entry. Anyway, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, right? You don't let the temptation of getting rich prevent you from ever realizing that objective, right? You have to put in the work, which is, like, sometimes sacrifice, and that's not always time. Sometimes it's like, sometimes sacrificing your own, but I'm so greedy. Anyway, look, it could be a positive position, this wedge here, and it could break up again from a formation like this. The apex is coming in soon. If it matches this horizontal at the 236 or this low here, it's going to potentially go up a bit. It doesn't matter how much, right? It might be that top to the bottom, something like that, we'll call it. Drop that in, say it breaks out around here. It might take you a move from your 236 at 1.009 or whatever that is, 1.010, up to like 1.4 or whatever, right? That's a huge move. And you could manage that too, easily peasy with a stop loss. Super easy. Ghost Jiu-Jitsu guy with a small donation of a daily like button hit. You too, with a small donation of a daily like button hit, you too can help save the life of Coco from the unreasonable hands of an unreasonable cartoon ghost. Yes, help me save Coco from the hands of an unreasonable ghost. Oh, help me save Coco. Where are you, Coco? People aren't even going to believe you exist. Thanks, Jiu-Jitsu. Thanks, Michael John Scott. I didn't notice that was 27.37. That's huge donation. Thanks, Jiu-Jitsu. $5. That's a big donation. Don't say it's small. It isn't small, you know. It isn't small. It might feel small for you, but it might be massive to somebody else. And I appreciate it desperately. Don't worry about saying big or small. Never do. Super appreciated. And it's actually big. So thanks. Thanks. Chippy, thanks for everything, Jimmy. You're welcome, Chippy. I am a real one. It's true. Damn straight it is. What else did I miss? Ghostly Spirit of Luke Spears. Maybe Ghost. Is that the ghost? There's a lot of ghosts that are coming for Coco and everybody else. I wonder what it's like, eh? If ghosts did exist and like, because so many more people have lived and died than are currently alive, right? And especially in places like in Edinburgh, where everything was within like a 1.5 square mile walled city for so long, right? There's probably tens of thousands of ghosts in every square feet. And if they like cats, that means cats are just constantly getting like patted all the time. Man, she's probably ghost cats too. Somebody should do the maths on that shit, right? So here's some like moves there. Change the subject. Cake USD. Everybody likes a big cake. Well, not at the minute. It's a little bit in like boring flux. Got to change the subject though. What else should we go through? OCGN. Oof. So that was good for people, right? There's good moves there and good targets there, and congratulations. 17% back on MRNA. It's been a while since we looked at that. Here's your horizontal. It's important. 261. Does that mean it's still got a bit to go? I obviously thought it didn't when it did that, so that'll hopefully keep some people safe. Neo. Oh. Back down again. Negative cross. Go back to the daily time frame so we'll get a better picture. Long term gap there. That's interesting. Big gap on Neo. Likely does come back to test the bottom of that at some point too. Down at 38.37, 43.31. 236 here. 4 time frame continuing lower. There's your entry. Where's your stop? Looking left. Down here. There's another potential bounce at this area. Perhaps why it got here and no further so far because of this low. And this is looks like a good entry because of this strong trend in price action at this point. And here you touch the bottom of your bearish control zone. So I'd keep an eye out for a bounce at this area. But for managing your risk, you'd have to have your stop at least below here because it's so very important. You've got this touch, you've got this touch, you've got this part of the end of the breakout, you've got this previous resistance level, and what's it been doing in the past? Right, well, no point going that far back. It's very relevant. Once you've been up here, it's the low and you've touched it. Not touched it yet. That's a higher low. It would be another lower there. It's been a lower high and most recently. Nope, that's higher. Plus your wick definitely speaks to potential. So this doesn't look good, and that's awful, that drop. But it's hourly, think. Hourly's tried and failed already once. 236. Even that is actually lower. And when it gets there, you were at the bottom of the bearish control zone, you've bounced along the bottom of this Had it come up once and now you're tracing along the bottom. That's not positive. That speaks very negatively to the current price action, like from where it is 38, 35. It would be much more comfortable down at 36. 30-minute time frame says fuck off. 15-minute time frame, it's the same thing. Dodgy, try enter here. Stop loss not so very good. Nobody asked for this. I don't understand that, but your trade would be slightly lower. More likely, you take it here. And you could have a tight stop. Likely wouldn't get washed out unless it was a bad trade, and then you could aim up back to your 236, and you got a 10 to 1 on that. And if you had that, take profit. At that, I'd say look 66%. It's the middle of a downtrend. It looks like a piece of shit, though it could go up again. In which case, I'd take 66 and follow it with a stop loss. I'd put another fib on it. I'd take my stop. I'd move it up to like 786 if it ever got back there. Beyond that, I'd then take profit, and then I'd take profit as it went and move my stop up following that Fibonacci level, maybe as high as a 236 if it started pushing through highs. But nobody asked for Neo. Anyway, MTTR, it's down 13%, haven't put in a new high. There was a wedge at the top of price action. We've seen that recently. That potential is kind of unusual. Got the breakout move, a retrace, and then go on, test your previous high. Went beyond it. No divergence really. See that there is good signature there. Massive sell-off, second high at that point. 200 retraced. Back at support, we drew that one out well. Then, boop. Sears. Nope, no rest for the weary. The volatility, despite the fact that it's very low, it's very real, it's just very dangerous. SHIB, there you go, right? For all the people that are like, SHIB, you still you holding your bags, get SHIB, change the world. Fannies, man. I made plenty of money off SHIB, so, but it's stupid. It's stupid, right? And then we're back to what we like. Some things we like. This is a good thing. Retrace is a good entry for people at some point. Here's other things people like this nonsense, 6.9%, you know, trade this at your peril. BB, nice. Good to see you back there, $10.94, $11. Aftermarket, there's your trades. I mean, they're all written out for you. This one, that looks pretty good, didn't it? Congratulations, everybody. Then this one, oh, that looks pretty good. And if it breaks out, wow, fantastic. 8 to 1, you say. I do, all the way up there. What would it be? 8 to 1 risk reward, right? But it's 15.25 target on it, and your entry is what, like $9. So there's like, you know, that's nearly 100%. And I know you all trade on leverage, you fucking reprobates. Anyway, seriously though, we don't. And then there was like these drops down here. If it did break these moves, which it hasn't done yet, you're actually getting loads of money off all of them. Then there's this ultimate one here, which might be incredible. Re-entry 850 here again, like one more go of that, and then you might get a move all the way up. It's like, that's crazy. What else? Does anyone want me to look at anything? I'm not seeing the chat box, right, because I've not got the YouTube thing open, so I'm only seeing what people put into the bigger messages. So I should move it back over and then open other things so I can see ats, because people do at me. Every so often people want to talk to me. I can just read the chat here. Hi, I had previous homeowners come over one time and tell me all about this tall guy in a green-grey suit looking for someone named Sarah. I've heard weird noises, people walking upstairs and sounds. That is weird. That's weird. That's dead weird. Can you look at PROG? Thanks for the great tea from Arizona. It certainly can do. Yeah, it is dead weird though. Humans do search for constructs, patterns, meanings, regardless of how likely they are to find them. And that answer is 100%. If you look hard enough, you'll find something. Does it have any meaning? Generally speaking, not. Especially not if you've had to go out of your way to find it so desperately much. And so you wonder, but at the same time, like, you don't. Not all that much. That's what I think. You know, you should run out, or like you should, or maybe, I mean, it's a green suit, right? That's quite fashionable. It's quite fashionable chap. Does he have a green bowler hat? That's what I'd want to know. If he doesn't, get one, leave it there, walking stick. help him jazz up his outfit a bit. Sounds like that kind of ghost, a bow tie or something like that. Headshot this one. Can you look at Royce? He's no problem. I will. What was that other one I was just asked about? PROG. He lit it, did it? I could just type it in here rather than do this stupid, round of fucking horses chat. Nah, I'll just look for it because I like looking for it because I'm an idiot. No, I won't. I'm going to alphabetically order them. That's a good start. Compromise. PROG is up to 15.7 per 15.56. Yep. Came down at Golden Pocket. No, wait a minute. This was Fibonacci afterwards. It's this Fibonacci. Came down, broke your 2-3. That's your 236 there. 786 here. Never came back to that. You did come back to various levels. Continuation. That's God. Very good. It broke this level here. It's 165. It was important on the way down and on the way up. Boom, Golden Pocket, but that wouldn't have been from this area. It would have been 50% retraced and onwards up to this target. Wow, this TA was fantastic. This TA was fantastic. Fantastic. So, broke through 786. No, broke through 286. 236. You went to your Golden Pocket. Brilliant. Came back. Healthy retrace. New high. Held your 236. On again. Broke the 236 perhaps at that stage. On again. Take this across to the right. Make it less messy. Up to your profit target on that move. That was a fantastic trade. Fantastic. That would have been where I would have sold. It's where I'd sell those call options. Matt, mind you, congratulations. Well played, sir. Have you sold them there? That's what you should have. This retrace was a potential re-entry, though it wouldn't be one I'd like to take myself. I haven't seen how it worked so far. Let me get into these time frames. You got your test of the 200 period on the 1 hour, and then you're back above the 50. Failed to get into the bullish control zone there, which you did once, twice, 3 times every part of this move. The most recent high was hugely bearishly divergent. Hope you sold these calls here, buddy. Hope you sold them. This is a danger, because I give people TA and people watch it, even huge YouTubers who then take calls on PROG, and they're doing very well in that. But I'm not got my thermal printer set up yet, so they can't say to me when I'm not live, hey, what I do in my position, what I do. So they hold through these sort of tests of long-term resistance where your price action broke down and it was dead obvious it wasn't going to go through on its first pass, having already put in a disgustingly divergent high, which is well bad, and then continuation suggested on the RSI on the low, even though you have touched 200, and then putting in this anemic rise afterwards. It's yeah, sure, it could go on, but the risk you're getting here is not the risk you were getting here, and the reward you're getting up here is not the reward you were getting when you bought that much easier risk down here either. And in which case, this is why would you want to trade that? Sure, it might go up, but why would you want to trade it? Where are you looking for? 1618? That's up at $11. Sure, just a big move, but it's nothing compared to the 1.5 or whatever, up to less. Not what was it? Not point. It's just a different idea, right? It's a completely different idea now. And if you're trading it because of me, then, or which you probably aren't, right? Because nobody does anything because of me. Hands off, nothing to me. It's not financial advice. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm a total madman. It's amazing that people watch me say anything ever. And this isn't financial advice. So you come down within that wedge, you've held that. It's just, it's not at the apex of the wedge either, is it, really? And that divergence broke up to the top side. Does it continue on and then go? Maybe. So it's not had a test of this cross. That's a 4-hour golden cross, and it hasn't been tested really. There's your 12-hour just happening, nor is that a test yet. Held your 236 and good bounce off it. Daily, you're above the 200, but your 50 is below the 200. You've made it up. Not tested the top support here. Sorry, resistance yet. I've closed this one at this area. See, what you don't want happening is price action dropping, which it already has done on this daily time frame, below the 886 of this previous drop down here, because these recoveries, which this is, so very, very often fail after that, right? They go straight there without testing anything in the meantime. It nearly invariably fails, this 886 failure from a breakdown recovery. What then happens is it comes back and starts testing like deep retraces on its own fib that it put up here, like deep ones, like way down, like 786, 886 of it. So that's like immediately what jumps out at me, despite the fact that it might try up here once more, though I don't know if this is the occasion for it, and it has had 200 bounce, but this wedge type thing could apex a bit further away, and there is this other area where it might more likely bounce at 269 and the 786 and go up again. Even then you'd be held below 200 likely, and that would be your measured move and failure. But if it does recover the 236 at that point, I would try and target a move to 5 and take profit there. That would be your entry here if it recovers this 236 having failed and then done a measured move out of this wedge, take it above it and then go on again. Alternatively, you're looking for a drop down to test at least 50% in this 50 period moving average, which is also very common when you see this like pattern here. You broke above the 200, you can't hold it, then what do? You come back to the 50, and then not just that, but like then you do look down. Hey, there's your 236. There's the 786 here. It's the bottom of a gap. Ooh. Dodgy. Is it dodgy? Gotta pay the troll toll. Is there one? Is there a troll? I haven't seen a troll in ages. Come at me, you fucking. I got this other troll message the other day. It was dead funny. It was like obviously from somebody who's got no idea what they're saying. Like, I think this chap is. I maybe said this on yesterday. I don't think we should let people see this chap. You know, new investors in GME should not see this person. He's obviously blah, 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 and then came up with these nonsense ideas based on the fact that they've never seen somebody like me before. It's like they got no idea I work at an investment bank and know so much more than they do. And it's like, we shouldn't let people see this. You shouldn't be let out of the house, you tube. Also, it's not a surprise. The channel's named Tradespotting for a reason. I can't believe he plays that Golden Brown song. Does he even know what that's about? Somebody just tried to pass me a dib in Walmart parking lot. Haha, fucking hell. Hey, Walmart, eh? It's shit for so many reasons, but then that happened. Woohoo! Somebody here, I just read that. Wait a minute. That message just came up in my face, but I'd already read it. How did that happen? Thank you, I thought. So just wanted to be sure. Don't know what that means. Can you look at a ticker? Oh, I've got to look at something else. I've missed something. What was it? PROG, and then somebody. Have I missed something? Did somebody ask for something that I didn't look at? Boise. Oh. I mean, it never ends, eh? So that was your entry, re-entry rate for me and other people too. This is a re-entry. Wow, wowie. And then you get your positive cross. There's a 15-minute time frame. Not bad. How much is that up already on this particular move? You're up 4.8% already. You know, and if you're like a jittery weirdo, you could move your stop, but I wouldn't. Yeah, but well, you could just move your stop, right? You've got your entry, you're up 5%. Who cares, right? We'll come back to that trade if we want to enter again. I'm going to take my stop up now, put it in profit, set it below the 200 period moving average in 15 minutes. So off I get stopped out. I don't care, right? I don't care. I don't care, right? I don't care. Still even it's in profit. I don't care, right? At that point, I'll have an alert on it, actually, if it comes back. I'll enter it again. Up. What other way would I ever expect it to be? Anyway, so you got this retest of the 250 is about to cross it. That'll constitute a test should it go through. It's a 30-minute time frame. Positive cross there. Looks good on DMI. Chris, is it true that OnlyFans is making a new movie called Stock Wars Revenge of the Simps? Yes, it's true. It's true. Amazing news. It's amazing news. Yeah, I'm headlining it, in fact. So please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Please, I'm headlining it. Please hit it. Please. Right? I'm headlining this Revenge of the Simps. Right? Please. Anyway, have you not hit the like button yet? Seriously, imagine half of everybody who watched the video hit the like button. It'd be incredible. Is it time that, is that, yeah, it is true, and it is time, Chris. Thanks. Cheers for five. I got to tune out in a few minutes. Oh my God. But I'll catch the replay. Okay. Could you look at Liquid, please? You certainly bet I can, mate. Good luck, whatever you're up to, Jiu-Jitsu. My short position is turning into a hole in my account. Oh my goodness. Liquid, sure. Oh, I didn't do Rolls Royce. I'll get back to Rolls Royce in a second. Liquid, because you're on the way out. Up 1.57%. Come back. There's a gap there. It had to go up to close that gap. It's only on 30 minutes. It didn't have to close the gap. Me. You just had a touch of like good sign there when it got above the bearish control zone, went up, touched the bullish, touched the bullish, and then failed. And that's not great. That's bearishly divergent. Yeah. And well, yeah, maybe. I mean, how short are you, right? Unless there was something. Oh shit! Is it this one here? You had to stop on that. That's really not. That was a good short position. Look at that. It's really not. It wasn't that one. That was a freaking good trade. What was that? 5 to 1. What did you get? 50% of it from 2022 from that's all right. Like, anyway, once you went beyond that point, it was pretty good stop to use because once you went beyond it, right? Boom, there it was. It was perfect. See how the stops work there, eh? Like, you know, likely if you took that, you would have got profit, right? Because it went below the 50 and then went back above it. That's 30 minute. You're not going to learn much there. 4 hour. Going to touch the 200 period moving average, right? Take profit, whatever. Put your stop in profit, probably somewhere around here. But the reason you initially put it was there, and if you didn't move it, it's fine, is because, sure, right? You lose whatever, that tiny little percentage there. That's fine over time because these trades work out like that one did, and anyway, I've explained that enough. Then you're up here, all after breaking that move, like within what is that? We're on a 4 hour time frame, but like 8 hours later, you know, this is why stops are so good. Although this looks like it could easily just come back a big chunk. On the this still is this like why you should use stops, right? There's 50%. Fuck's sake. Also, there's a chance that this is a bull flag. Though, why would it test up like that? It's filled that gap. 30-minute gap, I wouldn't put too much. It's already did that one. It's done that one. It does do them. Got one here. 27.19. Your 200 period moving average on 30-minute quite high though. 1 hour up at there, and that gain 200 coming in at 28.27. 28.27, long-term consolidation, drop back down to that sort of area. Possible. Test that breakout zone. Possible. There's a low of your formation at the minute, so That's what you may be thinking. 33.15, 53.15, maybe. Did you see anything else there? Hi, Rocky. Holy shit, massive donation from Ryan Seeley. Freaking hell, mate. Sugars, right, I'm getting behind now. You didn't say anything else, I don't think, so Jiu-Jitsu, so I'll get out. Right, I have to remember these now. Right, so 50 period above the 200 on the hourly, still positive in that sense. Here's your 4 hour, still persistent above 40. It's good. That's not bad yet on the MACD. And this positive splay, positive slope, that's still good. And you are up here at resistance. That's still, I mean, saying good because like whatever, right? But you know, bad for you. 14141618. There's your extension up the top side. I wouldn't necessarily think it'd go much there. It's already consolidated here, so if it does push up, there's the first place for it to look to. Not much consolidation, not consolation for you. 41.59, 44. These are similar prices to other things we've been talking about. You got your 50 period here down on the 4 hour at $30. You look left, that is a horizontal that might be important. Maybe that's more on the 4 hours. That might be the place to manage your position. You can see this relevant for a number of reasons. This one, only one or two. So let's see that. The 50, does it get there? Does it go down? I mean, still a little bit of a chance it drops and comes here. It fails to get back into the bullish control zone at the minute. But like, and that is a I suppose you want to know, does it look like it's about to explode? Not really. Not really. Not really. Huh? No. I think it's going to come back to test 33.22 or thereabouts, 33.09 maybe. And then if you are desperate to go long, I would say don't take that. I would say take 29, spot 56, or your 50 period moving average. So depending on your entry, there might be something there. I don't know, speculate. It's like there's only 2 touches, so none of this means anything. And it's just like, you know, maybe, who knows? It's also diagonal, don't give a shit. Whereas there is this relevant one here, so we look at that and think about these moves and what would likely be the effect of them. You know, we could take it, put it here. If it gets down here, test your previous high. You'd expect that. Whereas, my friend, whereas, if it goes down. Nightmare. No. Good for you if it did. Here's your 200 period moving average there at 24. That'd be a big chunk of a drop. Depends, depends. I expect this formation to persist for a while, but it is very speculative, just drawn out. It's only got 2 touches either side. Doesn't mean anything at the minute. It's only on a 4 hour time frame. It's diagonal, so like there's that 12 hours daily, up here. Not bad. Still strong. Still very strong. So your short must be down here. 27.69. Maybe it's this entry here. 26. Maybe. In which case. See, this is just reassuring, perhaps. It shouldn't be there. And nor should this top side. It's just this relevant Can't even give it 3 touches there. I suppose I could just about. Ugh. Right. I expect a touch of 33, maybe 29.61. I don't even think this is wonderful. Wonderful. And don't think you'd put much faith in 15-minute, 30-minute gaps, but there is one down there at 27.21, which is perhaps in around where you might have entered, in which case you could potentially get out of it. And then your boy that put in a huge donation there, Ryan, can you take a look at METX? You betcha. Now I got it on the chart. So the first look at METX. METX. Nasdaq Metin Holdings Group Limited. Ah, good old METX. Of course, isn't it you, Bob? Metin Holding Group Limited and Bob and Co. out there. Oh, sure, you're back there. Down 8.78%. Don't know if I did good to you in that last asset there or whatever it was. I've forgotten the name already. Oh. Thanks for that huge donation. Right. Interesting. Nothing you can say about that, but that's interesting, and that's interesting. This is like, 50's there at 1.4. 40. There's very little you can do in price action, right? So this is what you can do in price action. This is what you can do. You see 236 and the 50 period moving average are both here, so it's like difficult to get above this for a reason, which is like relevant because then if it does, it's significant. And then the horizontal looking left is 1, 2 touches where it touched when it broke down, 3. That is interesting there. A drop a horizontal on that level. Still, it's at the 50 period now, so you could get above the 236 and then be held by that. Oops. On the free day, we've got enough of that drawn on the chart, right? We don't even need that, to be honest. You can go away, mate. So that's the weekly. Let's not get 3 day, not getting much on that there. On the RSI, you can see bullish divergence on your low, obviously, right? You've got lower low on price action as part of this descending channel. Get 3 touches on it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is real. This most recent section of it from here to here, you can also see that on your RSI at the time you had this low, and then, well, price action was lower. At the same time, your RSI was actually climbing out of the bearish control zone. It was like way higher low. There's a lower low, higher low. That's divergence. It's bullish. Price action does turn around. If it gets above the 236 between that, it's likely to go on. There's your 236. There's your 618, right where it is at. It got to. So it did most of that move. It doesn't have a 200 period yet. That's what you've got from your RSI. You have a positive trend to the top side, starting to win that fight, but you don't have any strength on the ADX yet. You have a positive slope on your MACD, though you've had it for a while. You've been that way since 28th of December last year. Down to the 2-day, well and truly recovered, and then you're above the center line as well. That's very positive. The fact that you've slipped below the 50 period I don't care about that when you've done this good thing here. That's good. Oh, you've got a flash there too. So recently, don't know how significant that'll be yet. Down to the daily time frame, you've captured the 50 and you've held it there in a retest. You've dropped out of the bullish control zone, but you were in it and thereabouts for a while. Held your own moving average on the first drop below the bullish one. Drop now, then touch the moving average. Do you come in for a new touch, a last final touch of this low? It looks like a buy if it is. But is this a swing failure? No, not yet. 200 period moving average has showed up. Daily time frame, we see it at 1.22. Also got this flash. And a gap on the daily time frame. So the weakness for our not great. But you've got this cross, but it doesn't look like it's going to pass that test, and it's a divergent high. Yeah, that looks like it'll come back down again. You see, at the very least, it likely comes to this gap here and fills it. It's on the daily time frame. It's gone up and filled this one, then some lower high. Come back. Has it gone beyond the 236 on this? Two 2.5. 50 period here, 618. I mean, a crazy trade center here. If it doesn't stop there, it does likely take a small bounce here at the 86, but question is, does it put in a higher low, really, in that being around like 3.125, or because it would close this gap and have a reason to turn around there. Here it doesn't. It's failed the 236, haven't dropped below it. It's got a golden pocket and a 50 period moving average on the daily time frame here at 0.4052. It's just below that. There's a gap down at 0.3360. I know just below. It's not in terms of percentages, but it is just below in the terms of the move of the chart. And there's also this gap above. So that's an entry, or a gap fill there is an entry. And if there's strong bullish divergence and you get another touch of it there, and I do like to see a couple of touches of it, at least you've already then gone, if you manage to at the same time preserve this value or just above at the 886 here in that entry, I would suggest at the same time as like either just breaking the center line on your RSI or breaking it and then recovering, and that'd be a well good entry, maybe. Like you can manage your risk anyway because you've got a super obvious stop area, so that would be like enter at the 886 there. It's gone and done this thing again. Bell. Suppose it's relative to the last chart you drew on. Anyway, so then you can put your stop in those previous horizontal lows. This is what I would do. Just below them. A wee bit more, right? Because you're already looking at a big trade. Take profit at the 236. That'd be a sensible area to take some. It's this horizontal looking left. It's 236 of the bigger Fibonacci, and like I say, horizontally. And you'd look again, take profit at the 200 period moving average, where it is ever at that particular turn in time. And at the moment, that'd give you a 16-to-1 trade, and that'd be the thing I'd look at for that. It might also go on then again because you've got this gap to the top side up here at 1.2335, so that close. Do you fill it? No, that's about it. And it's a 200 period moving average at the minute, and it is on the daily time frame, so it's not going anywhere fast. So that's the trade. That's what it looks like. Do you get in there as far as a retrace down to the 886? Maybe not. Maybe the golden pocket and the 50 period moving average, or maybe it goes up from here. But I like a lot of chocolate on my biscuit, and one of the ways to do that helps you and is like stress free is to just enter lower, because then you go at the same target at the top side, and you were going there anyway, so like why not just get it if it's lower? And if you don't get it, it doesn't matter, because there's so many other things you can trade all the time. But if you're already in it and you spotted that bullish divergence, and this is looking at a retest of a 50, having reclaimed it, then it's also a golden pocket and bullish to you, mate. That looks like a good fucking trade. I like it. And you're already 16-to-1 here, and you've got a better entry because you were in there somewhere, maybe. In which case, that's very good. And you could follow it with a stop, take that up below the 236 at that point, and maybe it continues on and goes all the way to the golden pocket. That's up at 4.6, 4.2, 4.9. That's like a huge move. Right, good spot, mate. Might be a 10x on that. Oops. So like follow it with your stop. Take it to the 236. That's here. And if price action does go up there, I'd take profit on it again, and I'd move my stop to the 200 period back up above this area. This might have turned a trend. Who knows? Daily time frame, it could start trending up for a while. So a good one there, mate. It's very good. And what did I miss now, Royce? And please don't ask me to do any more because I'm very cold. I've not turned the heating on. I'm tired and I need to heat up this hot chocolate drink I've got. And what time is it? 21:34. That's not too terrible. But how has the clock screwed me over so bad changing this year? Right. If I've missed something, though, definitely tell me and I'll get to it. No bother at all. 100% definitely. Is I am not a cat here because I really want to chop his head off live with Wilfric, if this is possible. Hey there, I'm not a cat. Royce, I hope that was handy or helpful or not crap anyway, mate. On METX. Try to find your name. It was Ryan. Ryan what? Seeley. Thanks, Ryan Seeley. How you doing, Ryan? How are you, Ryan? Lol, clock changes, 4 hours ahead. Yeah, it's the worst thing ever. I thought it was the other way, and it's so disappointing. It's going to last for months, that. Banana Fridge, you got to lock down the brand name. You got to lock down the brand name. Yeah. Banana. Where's Coco at? Coco! I've got Coco Cam up here, right? You don't know if you can see it. Is it on the charts? Does that work? I go over here. Yeah, look. See, look, this Coco Cam. She would have been floating in space again, but she's away off in the bedroom. She doesn't want to come in here because it's warmer in there and it's freaking freezing in here. It's not winter time yet. Oh my goodness. Ricey pups, Ricey and your ricey pups. Snap, crackle and pups. Ricey pup. You know I look at RR when you ask me to look at Ricey. Like, that's what I do. Did I already do this, actually? No. I think I got close to it, but didn't. Daily time frame, you're at a re-entry point here. Shrivelly period moving average, trending up. You've made a good part of a move. It is a potential one. You've got to stop and all with it. It's made a 4.8% move already. We've already done that part. I remembered that came into my head. There's your area. It's alarmed and all, not whatnot. Your 618. If you don't hold this, you will go down to the 618. No, you won't. This is a full extension of that move already. Pardon me. Stop it. Take profit targets there are fantastic. There's the overall move. This thing continues on. Where are you looking at that from? This? No, that wouldn't work because is this inverted head and shoulders. Right hand side. Shoulders played out exactly as we expected. Recaptured its own moving average as it went through the center line. That's great to see. Also bounced at this area. That's also very good to see. Retest of this potential demand line. Horizontal held. Positive. Looks like that's about to win, and the ADX is already strong. And you're crossing that at the same time. Those two at the same time. Aye, and then you're getting this cross, and it's coming in just below the center line, and you're below the tail. Boom! Well, that's not bad. What we're seeing on the weekly time frame, just to double check that. Yeah, everything's all great. Everything's fucking. Whoa, if you go on again, mate. Weekly highs, come back, test the support. Probably a re-entry or not far from it. Pumpkin King. What is that? What the hell was that just came up? Boss turn 2. User. What the hell? What's going on? What's happening? I have no idea what's happening. User killing a huge pumpkin. Get the shit out of it for me. Unless it is me, in which case you guys are screwed. That's so weird. I did not expect that to happen. That's so weird. Boss's turn. Go on, boss. Knock them out. Right. What the hell is that? Does it have sound effects? Don't know. Don't think so. He's getting it. He's getting pelters now. Go on, brick the cunt. Pardon my language. Nearly really got that. So very close there. Woof. Bloody hell. Tell you what. That was as close as I've ever come. Right, so up at the 200 period moving average there. Another test of that. Retest and then you on to go. Maybe. That's so close, by the way. Right, up here at your 200 period moving average. 2414 extension and for inverted head and shoulders target. That looks good. This looks very good. You also get a golden cross and then you get a retest. That'll be a cup and handle and you get another entry. Oh my goodness, this is just going to be so nice. That can't happen like that. If I draw it on, it's just stupid. Let's just draw it on anyway in 10 feet. Let's just do it. Let's just 10 feet. It's not like it's... Well, we'll see, right? Just for interest's sake, if price action recovers up to this high here, come back to this sort of horizontal, go on again up, maybe it tested this sort of level again, and then at this point it'll make a decision, right? I don't know what it's going to do. Let's just say it does that and goes on again right up to the top. Let's just say that's what it does. Either it comes back and tests it again and then I do TA and I'll see whether it's going up there at that stage or not. But this stuff seems likely. That I'm not so sure about yet, but we'll see. And then after that, something like that. And then something like that. Something like that, right? 15 minutes. We've also got this positive divergence, come back, test the 50, there's your 200. There's a gap there, 132.60. Potentially that's your entry there. So smaller time frames, maybe, oops, what have I just done? Smaller time frames, maybe, it was like it's just bouncing at the minute, right? But say like it's bouncing at the minute, so I can't do that, right? Now maybe it does something like right, something like that. No, be serious, right? Percent line positive. We've done that. That's very positive. 4 hour. Great. Held behind the 50. Horizontal here likely does go up from there. That's not bad at all. And let's go away now. 4 hour, 1 hour, 200. Touch the center line on again. You've got positive momentum. This being a 50 period after a breakout and a retest. Looks like don't want it to swing lower here. That wouldn't be great, but it doesn't look like it's going to. Well, it would if it doesn't catch and go on again. It would be a bit of a failure at this point. It's filled this gap. It's settled at an entry point. It's just perfect. And it's 236. It looks like a good buy to me. Back on the 15 minutes. So you can see this still come down, it'd be fine. It's just does it get to the 200 and fill this tiny time frame gap? Doesn't need to, might do. I mean, I suppose I could draw a fib on that and then like if it is a tiny short-term move, then it would be in around here, right? You've got this entry coming back again. Potentially it helps people. There's your Fibonacci. You're through the 236, you're 618. Oh, we've done this. It's close to the 786. It's got the gap, right? So 786, likely that's the next place. 132 spot 80. What is that on RY? Ricey. If I got Ricey up here, then I could just slap it on and do like 2 minutes on that. Might be helpful. Where is it? I got it. Well, I was going to help people, but you could just do it anyway, Jimmy. So type it in the letters. Jimmy, can you type properly, please? Roll your own ricey. It's just not happening, eh? And it's not even able to type properly. I know I could go 2 inches further and get closer, but this is also just like alternative depositive. It's just an alternative deposit of what is Rolls Royce Holdings anyway, and so it's just like follows exactly the same chart except for dilutions to the stock and or exchange price changes. And on that note, let's go and have a quick look. Train of you tell me to wait while I'm not doing anything. Here we are. Nice. Have you know I called this? I'll have you know. I'll have you know I called all this. And this. I'll have you know, and obviously that. So you've captured your own 50 again, and it's still persisting above the 200. You have lots of divergence, which would have led to that test, which has so far been successful. I think the fact that the 50 period persists above the 200 and price action is now testing towards the bullish control zone is very good. That's the 4 hour up to the daily time frame. That divergence is nearly non-existent. The test of the 50 period there, very positive cross and rocky outcrops. DMI, then you're holding the center line. What's the momentum like? Not so bad. This could break up again. Although it could come down to it in another test in the right shoulder. If not, funny face. This is an inverted head and shoulders. You are right, Jamie. There, it's not lower. That's okay. There's your measured move. Take it and drop it up. And how much are we going to get this? Let's see. That's your breakout. There. Hey, someone's already been here. By Cribbins, somebody's already been here. Looks like it might go up to 94.858. That'd be a big move. USD DAP, how's it doing? Oh, that means that there's good news for the pound just recently and line with the dollar. Good entry place. Positive cross there, tested, successful. Positive. Bullish. Positive. Ambulances, you never really hear ambulances here, really, because there's no traffic and there's no street and there's absolutely no need for it. Right, so there is a street, it's just no. Yeah, not that anyone gives a what am I talking so much stupid nonsense for? This is positive, good move. You can see hourly a little bit extended. Leslie does come back, test this 50 at some point. Good move, looking left horizontals that are interesting. Previous highs here, interesting. I think this could go on as well. US dollar is doing better than the GBP significantly. Dixie doing very well. Looks like it keeps on pushing up. Interesting, huh? Your dollars are getting worth more in relation to most things in the world, which is kindly handy if you're American and the world's like suffering inflation because of the way the system of money works. And people think it's not backed by anything, but it is. It's backed by a number of different things. treaties and countries' obligations to each other, and under the auspices of very large, all-encompassing organizations, one of which is the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and how countries lend money to each other in order to manage the contractions and expansions in the world economy. And the way they do it is by valuing everybody's currency against each other, and then supplying people with their proportionate value in a thing called an SDR, special deposit reserve, SDR, special deposit reserve. Anyway, essentially this thing is like what money means to each other from one country to the next, and determines to a certain extent their own ability to borrow currency from elsewhere. That's how the whole system of international trade is facilitated. It's under attack at the minute from new actors who want to set up their own system, namely China, supported by Russia. The way they're phasing that out is via economic partnerships with countries in the region and the greater area. They should have branded it Silk Road 2.0, but they called it the Belt and Road Project. Most stupid, boring name in the world. And it's being countered by the current world order, and mostly Britain, America, and some parts of Europe, and it with the Blue Dot Project and the Clean Network, and it's amazing. It's full of spies and loads of different dodgy shit, and looks like they're really going to try and fuck up the Chinese on levels that you might not even have suspected. It's well fun. We should talk about that sometime. I've got a video coming on it hopefully soon. Just have to do all the other million, billion other things I'm working on to dominate. What is everybody else doing? Do you want to talk about that sometime? That'd be a fucking well good video. After I've made this other one, then we can all talk about it. What else is everyone saying? I'm saying, like, you guys fought the boss. Did it die? Must have. I don't see it there anymore. Right, thanks everybody. I'll say up thanks here. Thanks for everything, everybody. Hope I helped people with the questions they had, and there's like Homer's choice. You've managed to get pinned there. How did that happen? Is that me? That's excellent. How did Homer get pinned there? And there's explosions and all. That's brilliant. You know what's going on. I don't. Here's some money to buy some internet. Thanks, Dan. Yeah. Gonna go to the internet office tomorrow and pick that one up. Porridge Optics, here I come. They're sick of me. I told you about that, eh? Customer service there is terrible. Thank you, everybody. Cheers, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Hit the like button. Tradespotting, hope you had a nice Thursday. I had a good Thursday. Saw my mum. She's very worried about her brother, and the plan's all up in the air. So she's anxious. She's very close to him. He's a cool dude. So I saw her, took her out for lunch. It was nice. Nice time. Bought myself a new pair of trousers. Whatever, right? Was out, and they were cheap. And a new pair of trousers once every 4 years is probably okay. So I went for that sacrifice. I saw Rocky. Good lad that he is. Good crack. Love seeing him. Nice time. And I took care of Coco. And Coco wasn't feeling well, so I helped her. And then I was round at my dad's place because he's away getting seen himself, getting checked up for things. So did a little bit of tidying around there for when he comes back, and it's nice and comfortable for him. So I did everything I could do. Productive day and a good Thursday. Thanks for asking. Hug requires a valid target, says Tradespotting. That is like a cry for help, isn't it? From Tradespotting, whoever that is. Nice name, mate. Always helping people, Jimmy. Yeah, it's true. Poco's sick. Yes, ate food too fast because I got the chicken stuff, and she loves the chicken stuff. She's like, tom, 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 and then she was yapping at me again a minute later, and I was like, I've just given you that packet, you know, give her a tiny wee bit more. I knew I shouldn't have. And if I'd forgot at the time, I'd left loads of treats for her when I was going around the corner, so she'd eaten them, and then she just started feeling, and she was like, rope, 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 and I was like, no, he's going to do that thing, you know, you don't want to pick them up when they're, because you don't want to make it hard for them, so you just chuck paper underneath them, and panic. Anyway, look how much you're getting smacked around down there. That is different. People will never, like, I don't know. it's Tomorrow is trade sploshing. We had planned or hoped to do something with Cosmic, but he might be busy and Captain might not let him get drunk 3 times in a week, so that might not be possible. If it is, it's not his own fault. He would have loved to have been here. But if he isn't, it's okay. Rocky may join us. If he doesn't, that's also okay. But I'll definitely be here tomorrow for Tradespotting. An hour before market close, maybe 2 hours before market close. We'll see how my day goes, but I like seeing you, and I can't wait to get around it. And I'd be here sooner if I wasn't so freaking busy. And someday when I've got all priority storage, I've got everything ready, then I'll be here as often as I possibly can, much more, and hopefully more helpful and focused. Buy gear. What the hell is going on? How did all these things... Wow, what? Right. So that was it. A couple of things we covered. One, really incredibly positive bullish news for GME. Weekly candle close. Possibly, if we finish up and around where we are, like Rocky was talking about it this morning, so I can't claim this all as my own thing. But interesting. The weekly candle high, first time in 2021. Check out Rocky Outcrop's channel on YouTube. Be ahead of the news. That's Rocky Outcrop, spelled as you would imagine. On YouTube, as you would imagine. That's not the only thing. Tomorrow, I'll tell you about this other thing, and you're really going to enjoy imagining that, because when you add up the thing that I was talking about, right, this is it, right? And I'll just tell you now because it's exciting and it'll look good and everyone will be really excited about it, right?